I'm just there to have fun, and everybody can catch these hands.
I'ma give them what they want. She gon' give me what I want. I'ma give them what they want.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the What They Want podcast. Boy, Danny Slab. Got my guy Snow over there. We got a special guest for you tonight. Snow, you want to introduce this interesting fellow we have?
Interesting fellow, yeah. This is a good friend of mine, but now our second guest when it comes down to comedians. This is my good friend, co-worker. As of right now, co-worker.
Might be on the chopping block, but as of right now, as of January the 28th, I still have a job.
We're counting down the days. No, we're not. No, this is my great friend, comedian, all around, funny guy, but Curtis Braxdale.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Thank you for having me on.
For sure. It's been in the works since the Diss Me days. So.
Yeah, no, I've heard many a word of the what they want, what they is, what they wasn't podcast,
what they wasn't,
whatever.
What they is. Yeah. So
no, it's cool.
This
is such a cool setup because you always come into work and obviously we were working together when this was just coming together.
Yeah.
And you were like setting up the plans. And you're like, how the fuck do I edit this video?
Yeah.
like handing me your phone. Like this shit's not working. I'm like, okay.
He edited half of the videos for me when we were sitting in work bullshitting. So
We've come a long way.
Yeah.
We've came a long way from those. So yeah, I was like, how the hell do you work Canva? He's like, this right here. You move it right here. I'm like, no, that's way too complicated. I was like, how much can I charge you to just do all this? And he was like,
I'll never forget this when Ross came into work. Oh my god, this was so funny. I guess you guys had just had like your first like viral clip or whatever.
Okay.
That was getting a lot of traction online, and he was all giddy, whatever, walking around the store, and he was like trying to tell me about it, and he literally said it like this. Meanwhile, I'm a comedian. I have a podcast, have posted clips that got views. He goes, I have this problem, Curtis, and I was like, what's up? And he's like, you probably never dealt with this, but my clip is going viral. My shit's getting a lot of views. I was like, what the fuck you mean? You probably never dealt with this. I was like,
yeah.
He was like, yeah, you probably don't know what this is like at all, but
right,
like, my shit's actually taken off. Like,
I got traction on this one.
Like, what the fuck? No, it's cool though. It's cool.
You know how I do things. Like, I don't mean to be
I know
direct, but sometimes I'm direct. I'm like, whoops. I mean, how many times do you think I got fired at my job? Shit, if you go to reviews with my job, there's a fucking list of them.
How many places have you worked at? Did you guys used to work together too?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but it's funny that you say that because I met him. He used to make my sandwiches at
he loves people to make sandwiches.
You damn right I do. You know, I got that good since fuck.
Man loves a sandwich.
Seriously, if you live in the fucking KC Metro and work at a Firehouse, a Good Sense, a fucking Subway,
Right.
They go, oh my god, that's
Pepper Jacks.
That's order number 273 walking through the door right there.
Damn right, cookie and everything. They know my order on. Hey, but that's what he knew too. So many people came in and my fucking shit. I was like, no, where's Daniel? They're like, he's off today. I was like, oh, I'm not eating here then. I'll just turn around and leave. But
very particular.
That's how he was.
Very particular.
But it's the same thing with everything that I do. Really, I'm just very routine.
You're just a particular guy, and you like what you like.
Shit, how many places did I work at? Too many damn fucking places.
That's why, because like New Balance is the job I've had the longest. Because I'm just a young person, and I was in college, but that's funny because I've worked there. I don't know if you say it on the podcast, but I've worked there almost 2 years. Or am I over 2 years now? I don't know. Around 2 years.
You're the one who's been there the longest, besides a couple other people that are there.
Yeah, I remember the day they hired this guy. I was like, nah, he's not. He can't cut it.
Yeah, he's from Wyandotte. He's from Wyandotte. That's what they all said. He's from Wyandotte. No, I'm not. I was like, I know people there, but I'm not from there. They're like, are you sure you're from? No. But no,
change pace. I go, yeah. Frost just moves differently from the rest of the.
I mean, I really did. I was like,
the Connors and the Kyles and everybody else,
the Dayrons, the Stephons, and everybody that we fired and hired and didn't show back up. but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I've been at some jobs, like pretty much if it's with shoes, I'm there for a long time. Now if it's some other shit, I'm not. I'm in and out like the burger joint. Like I'm getting the fuck out of there.
Yeah, I have a friend Nate Simmons. Shout out Nate. He has a joke where he's like, he's like, I've been hired and fired from 27 jobs.
Yeah.
And he's like, that might make me a terrible employee, or I'm an incredible interview. Because he's like, I can just work my way back every time.
Every time.
That is
Right. I show up real well for the first couple days. And
Yeah, no.
I mean, you find your niche though. I mean, with really like you gotta go through. It's like, here's a fucking funny guys questions. Your first girlfriend you ever been with? You still with her right now? Why not?
She moved away.
Oh.
First of all.
Oh, okay,
And second of all,
okay. Well,
Yeah, this is about to get emotional up in here.
yeah.
no, it ain't emotional. I'm just saying, like, you gotta.
I still think about her every day and night, but
Yeah, but it's okay.
I mean, I don't remember. No, I can't even remember my first girl.
Really? I think I just remember.
they
mine,
remember
too.
you.
Yeah.
He used to get me all the sandwiches.
Yeah, your first love is
Hey,
always
hey.
memorable, man.
Actually,
I mean-
I don't know if I believe that you got any of your girlfriend's sandwiches. I know how you move.
No,
It's-
that's why I can't keep a girlfriend, because
Yeah.
they can't cook sandwiches. Can't make a sandwich the right way.
No. They just
Cook a sandwich. That's why I was.
well, they just have to
cook a
provide some
sandwich.
things. But yeah, but beyond that, like I said though, you pretty much don't have like your girlfriend the entire time. You're not gonna have the same job the entire time. Like you're gonna evolve, you're gonna grow
Most
up
people
out of
go
it and
through
things.
different paths, right? You're not going to be in restaurant industry. You're not going to be in right.
Like, I mean,
in
however
retail
you-
the whole time. It shifts, right?
Like you're what, 24? Yeah, see, 24. When I was 24, I was at fucking Champs and about to get, or like, then I found my ex-wife, not my real wife, but yeah.
He goes, let's make that very clear.
Disclaimer.
Camera 1 and camera 2.
X.
Disclaimer. We got no
X.
longer.
No longer. We are disconnected. But no, like I was during that, and then I mean, I think when me and her together, I went through like job after job after job after job, trying to find my niche. And then it's funny because like went through all those trials and tribulations with her. Got out, got the divorce, and then now I'm in my job, and I've been there the longest.
Huh.
So it's like,
Yo, man,
which,
it's smooth
Yeah,
sailing.
sometimes variables are variables.
yeah,
man.
it's
It
like,
just kinda
why was I
lies
jumping
out.
job to jobs? Was it because I didn't like it, or I didn't like you?
Now I know why that Frost brought up that analogy, because he was like, you ever been with your first girlfriend? I'm not even with my first wife. That's how that's how much I move around. I don't even
Facts. Hey,
I got a whole jewelry box full of ex.
I don't, man.
Full jewelry box.
This shit goes up and down like this damn mic stand does. It's like, God damn it. I'm doing that. I swear to God. It just keeps moving. We'll just watch this shit go down. But whatever. Like I said, though, like I've been there for about now going on a year now. I mean, I like it. I don't know if everyone else does, but I don't get along with a lot of people sometimes. But that's because I'm opinionated.
Well, and you're dealing with the public
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So if you're not having
Oh, no, I love dealing
the
with
best
public.
today,
Like, I do, like, public is fine.
oh, you're talking about your employees.
Yeah,
your
some people I
coworkers.
just-
Your
Yeah.
your fellow
Frost.
in the trough.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. He doesn't know how to whisper. So like,
Whoa,
Got it,
whoa,
yeah.
whoa, 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 whoa,
Okay.
I do know how to whisper.
here's the thing, you know how to whisper, but you'd rather just not keep a secret. You just speak what's on your mind. You just say anything.
Right. You do the
There's-
what?
there's a
Is
reason-
it
there's a
repeat it
reason
back to you real loud? Like
Yeah,
that type of thing?
There's a reason why I'm a pure mediator. I'm like, everybody comes to me and I can kind of disperse. It's because I don't share, or if I do share, it's, hey, you're not going to believe what they said. Brett will be like, oh my God, that's crazy. What everybody's saying about everybody. And I'm just like, what the? I was
Hold
like, no,
on.
you gotta. I'm trying to navigate. I'm like playing the game like Survivor. I'm like, I need to have alliances.
Yeah, you
here,
really do.
alliances
Yeah.
here. I have an immunity idol from her. I'm stuck in here. Like
He controls opposition. He literally does. Like, literally, my boss is always like, what are you, against me? Are you the union
Yeah.
worker?
My boss calls me
You're
the
basically
fucking
like the union.
fucking shop
You're the-
leader. Is
You're
what
the
he
John
calls me.
Gotti of
He's like,
Yeah,
courtesy.
yeah. I just
You're the
try
John
to-
Gotti of the New Balance world.
I just try to keep like when I'm there. I don't know. I feel like I work there. It's even keel. Everybody gets along well. I come in. They're like, you're not gonna believe what happened on your day. I'm like, shit, what happened?
That is
Everybody-
not always true.
Everybody was jealous. Okay,
Try
yeah.
to tell this dude to stop selling flex cushions. What do you mean?
Okay, yeah. Well, that's just because I like to argue. I love it. I love.
So
an
now he
argument.
says it. No.
Well,
you
here's
guys
the thing.
hear this?
I like an argument. Well, it depends. If I feel like I'm gonna win, that's
Okay.
I'll
So you
speak
like
all the
banter
live
then.
long day. I don't care.
Yeah.
I got time. I'll go. and that's the problem with Frost. He doesn't quit. Even if he knows he's wrong, he's like, I work until close. He'll just keep that shit going.
I mean, I really do. It's like, hey, the Chiefs suck. What do you mean the Chiefs suck? Like,
I think people get that confused though, because me and you will argue literally for the whole day, just 3 hours. And people are like, do they hate each other? I'm like, no, we're just entertaining ourselves. Like we're
Making time go by.
We're
Hey, that is-
exactly making the time pass.
that is very, very true. And that's like, what was it the other day? We were at work. Like, literally, I was sitting there. You weren't there. But I was like arguing with somebody. And then they were just like, okay. I'm like, the fuck? I was like, can y'all please, like, I'm like,
just disagree vocally.
not even just disagree, but I'm like, let's have a conversation. And they're just like, yeah, man, well, we don't really talk at all, really. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go beat my head into this corner real quick. And they're like, well, huh? I'm like, God, this is terrible. Where's Curtis or Grant? Fuck. Even if I'm wrong, like, I'm like, dude, I'm like, hey, like, your face looks ugly. He's like, oh, yeah, it does? Fuck you. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We got something going now. It's like,
All right, we got a basis. Your face is ugly. I don't think it is.
That's for us starting
So,
the fire. He's like, we
right.
got an ember. We just got to keep. If we just keep feeding this oxygen, we can.
it's true, though. Like, literally, I do it to Tim every day. Like, our boss.
You
can tell it too.
You just talk big shit to him?
Frost
No,
he
I'll
hasn't been-
just do something wrong, and he'll be like, God, what the fuck? Oh, God damn it, Frost.
he's got a different tone. Because like if he says something that like is not crazy, he'll actually like engage with you and look for a reaction. But he'll do the thing where he'll say something like outlandish, but then he'll look away. So like that's what prompts you. That's what prompts you to like get fucked up, because he'll just be like I don't even know. It's hard to think of an example, but
I know what you're talking
he'll
about.
just be like we could be having a nice conversation. I'd be like, damn man, your watch is fucked up. And he'll be like, what? Like, it just activates people, and you're like, oh my god, you fell for it again. I was like, you're giving him exactly what he wants. He's
Well, no, okay, he says that though, but then there's certain times where I'll say something, and he'll be like, what the fuck? I'm not dealing with this today. We're not doing this shit. And I'm like,
I engage willingly.
and I just start laughing. At
Right,
him.
you're a willing participant.
It's a handshake. It's a handshake. I go, okay, if we're going there, I'll go there.
He's like, not today, Frost. We're not doing this shit. But it's the same thing with like my boss. Like, he's like, I don't have the mental capacity to deal with your shit today. I'm like, well.
Right, sometimes it's too much, and it's too much, it's too much.
I was like, all right, well, like, there's the boxes that I put in the wrong way. Huh? What? He won't go back there. Son of a bitch. But the whole shit's right. But I don't know. Sometimes you just got to light the fire, man, because people take life too serious. You got to laugh a little bit.
Facts.
It is.
That is
That's
true.
one of the biggest pet peeves when people take themselves too seriously. I'm like, if you're not able to joke around,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we're just not going to have fun. I'm just not going to be around. I was like, I'm going to try to avoid you at all costs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what you did
Yeah.
with somebody that we worked with. He was like, I'm just going to, yep. And you just see Curtis just walk this way and walk that way.
Yeah.
Like, he's avoiding somebody.
Well, so there's some days I have less energy, but I don't really turn it off really, like for the most part. Right. So if there's somebody that I know that like can't handle making jokes or being fun or whatever, I'm just like, I'm not gonna sit here and ruin this for everybody. It's like we're just
So let me parlay that into this. So
yeah.
now being in the in the humor business.
Yeah.
Now
Humor business.
the humor business, yes. You talk a lot of shit back. Like,
Oh,
do you find
100%.
times to, because you say you're the mediator, but if you're the mediator, you can't be roasting.
Well, that's the thing.
motherfuckers while you're.
Well, that's the thing.
You know what I mean? If you're mitigating the situation,
Well,
you're pacifying both parties, so you can't be like, well, girl glasses and
exactly. Yeah.
you're
Yeah. Well, I'll explain like this. Your boys, like in your inner circle, you guys can all roast each other and it's all love and whatever, and you guys just
Right.
laugh it off. And it's almost funnier when your friend does it. The
Right.
second, it's classic, like I can make fun of my people. The second somebody else makes fun of like your friend, you're like, what the fuck? like you like
Right, you
square
get
up.
defensive, sure.
So the
sure.
problem is, so the way to do it is you just work your way into every circle, and then you can say whatever you want because everybody's like, oh, he's our friend. It doesn't matter. And like I said, most of the time I'm joking anyways. I'm just
Right.
I'm doing the thing for us. I'm just trying to get a reaction and whatever. And it's like I said, make the time.
You're
go
just pushing
by.
a button.
Yeah, but not even just to let myself kind of joke around, but just to make life easier. I just try not to get on people's bad sides. I don't like if I can avoid it at all costs, I will just try to not. I'll try to be on everybody's good side, and then if I say stuff.
So
And
you
they're
can,
like, okay, Curtis.
so you come up with witty things to say, you just don't say it. You see the
Oh, no,
opportunities.
No, he says it.
I for most, I mean, I don't bite my tongue much, but that's only because it really gets me in trouble. I can read a room enough to know like what's off limits. Unless I mean, there's very few instances. There's very few instances where it backfires. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I don't know. You just gotta know. I mean, you gotta know people. Also, like I said, if they're cool with you, then they
Right.
know I'm joking around. Also, I dish it out evenly. I'm making fun of everybody. So if you single one person out, eventually that's
Right,
just
you're
gonna
bullying. You're not bullying.
Yeah,
you're right.
exactly. I'm just there to have fun, and everybody can catch these hands.
Right, that's
No.
that's basically what I'm getting at. Like,
Yeah.
so you're still in there lighting fires under people too. It's
Some-
not just
oh,
telling.
yeah.
No, it's never. That's what I enjoy about it. Really, all even at work, like with me and him, like we'll argue or whatever, but and we'll go back and forth on certain shit, and then at the end of the day, like some random person will walk in or whatever, and we're like, "Hey, look at this dumbass!"
Right, because you come together on a common
We'll
thing.
pause our argument to be like, "What the fuck is he up to?"
Right, exactly. Or like somebody will say something, and we're like, we'll start mocking one of our coworkers. We're like, "Oh, come on, guys! Like, hey."
We all know who that was.
We all know that, but it's like we'll dog somebody, and then what he's saying is true, and like the thing with him is like he will say it, and he'll kind of be like, Curtis is like in his own world, so he doesn't really elaborate. Me, I'm like, oh yeah, like hey man, like you're tweaking over here, and he's like,
Right.
huh? What? I'm not tweaking. What
So
do
you
you mean?
just call it what it is.
Yeah,
And
I'm
Curtis
more.
says it is more.
I'm more of like black and white, and he's like, I mean, I think it, but I'm not gonna say that to you.
Also, a lot of
Unless I'm provoked.
a
Got
lot
it.
of it is when tensions are high, you don't do it. But like you can use the things that are funny is the things that everybody's thinking, right? So like let's just say you two are in an argument or whatever, and like I don't know, let's just say Brett's forehead starts sweating or whatever the fuck. If you guys are in the middle of an argument, I go, no way, you're making his forehead sweat. That like he'll get pissed off at that. But if you wait an hour till everybody's all calm, I go, that's crazy. Brett's forehead was sweating. then he'll laugh because it's like the tensions
Right,
have
it's
died
not
down,
right.
but you just call back to like whatever the observation is or whatever, But
100%.
I mean, there's times where people obviously clearly don't want to be messed with. And I go, okay, let's leave him alone. But you could still use that to kind of
Right.
prod at them later.
Mhm.
But it's weird
That
too
makes
because like
sense.
my comedy, at least like on stage, I'm not like that at all. I don't like make fun of people. I'm not
Right,
like,
that's what I'm
I
saying.
don't
I seen
interact
your
with the
set. Your
crowd.
set was great, right?
Yeah, I don't really interact with the crowd. At least that's just I don't know. It doesn't come or not to say it doesn't come naturally, but it's not what I ever think to do. Like I'm just trying to write jokes. I'm trying to go up there, deliver my jokes, and hopefully they work. I'm not.
You're not a
No.
crowd. You don't work the crowd. You got your set.
I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say I never do it. Like there's times where I need to do it because I'm like my shit's dying, and I'm like, okay, well, this shit's not working. Let's try and like regroup. But I'm not. That's not the first thing I go to, and most of the time I try to avoid it because I did a lot when I first started because you don't know what you like or whatever.
Sure,
You're just
you
trying
got to
to
feel
learn
out
shit,
there. Yeah, you're dipping your
and
toes.
like and sometimes you're talking to people and they see that as like an invitation to just talk throughout the whole thing. So maybe you want to like get in, get out, like just make a quick little thing, like have a little conversation. But now they're just talking throughout your whole entire set, and you're like, God, fuck, this is annoying. So
I could see that be.
you can be. I mean, obviously, there's people that are super experienced with it, and they're like literal tacticians with how they go about like talking to people
They
in the
can
crowd.
shut
But
people down and then
yeah.
continue on with the motion.
I avoid it. If I need to say something to somebody, I will, but I try not to, just because I'm also like, I think I'm a better writer than I am, like in the moment. Like, although it's weird because you'll be at a show, and you can tell when the person on stage is saying something that's rehearsed or saying something that's like off the cuff. I mean, depending on the content, what they're saying, like obviously if it's happening in the room right now, it can't be like rehearsed. or
Right.
whatever.
If somebody falls, and
But-
you make a joke about somebody
but
falling or
even-
something. Yeah,
Even in like sometimes it's hard to tell because they're great performers and they're savvy enough to make it look like it's so natural. But I feel like there's something that happens when somebody says something off the cuff. You like people's reaction is so much stronger. It's like almost subconsciously we can like tell they're like, oh wow, he did not plan for that, and that just kind of like organically happened.
right.
And it's tough because those are really funny moments. I mean, like you really want to like mine for those or like have them happen in your set. But yeah, I'm more like I try to be more rehearsed a little bit and try to like write better jokes. But it's tough. It's like it's hard way to learn. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're like fuck. Okay.
Right.
But-
It's different. Because being an artist, you know, and I mean, in a musician, you know, you're playing with different instruments. You're doing that most of the time by yourself.
Yeah, there's no
Or with one or two
instant
other people. You're not
feedback,
you're not testing it out in front of a crowd.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God,
hey,
yeah.
I just got a guitar. Let me go plug it into this, 300-watt amp and play in front
yeah.
of 50.
Well, so there's pros and cons because like I mean, if you're like a musician, you don't get instant feedback, but also it's like you get to put it
That's
out.
your
You don't
point.
you don't get instant feedback, but also you get one shot. Like if I'm like trying to write a song the best I can, I put it out. If somebody says it's trash, you can't be like, oh, let me go change that verse real quick. Like, it's like,
Well, I
it
mean,
ain't
you
going
can,
back.
you
No,
can,
you're like,
you
if-
can,
you can, I
But
guess.
it doesn't hit the same.
But they're like,
Right.
they're like, if it's trash, they're gonna remember it as trash. Where it's like
Mhm.
with a live crowd, and as long as nobody's recording, that's why a lot of comedy clubs they lock up your phones now because people are working on shit. So, like, if I tell a joke and it sucks, and I still believe in it, like I still think there's some merit to like the reason why I'm up there saying what I'm saying. If it doesn't get a reaction, I can change it, try and make it funnier, and then do it the next night. But the downside of that is when it doesn't work, you got to stand up there and everybody's looking at you like, this guy fucking sucks. And I've been there so many times, but it's eventually you just get numb to that. You just know it's a part of the process. Like I don't
Got
know.
it.
Okay.
I feel like it's like a football play. Like you rarely do you hear like football players talk about getting hit. It's like
Unless it's something outlandish.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like
They're
a
used to
penalty,
it.
right?
yeah. No,
Okay,
nobody's
okay.
like no running backs like damn
Right.
I've been taking some hard hits. It's
Right,
like
unless
no.
they get hurt or it's like
Yeah,
some
yeah.
penalty that was,
Yeah.
Well,
That's
that
what it
and
was
that, like you got to roll through the punches. It's like life. You roll through the punches. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna get knocked down, but it's. I mean, it's like oh, I said something that wasn't funny. It's like okay, cool. I'll say something else that hopefully makes you laugh. You know, and you gotta build that. So like with that being said, then like how like you've been doing comedy
in February 19th it'll be 3 years. So I'm like close to 3 years.
3 years. Dang.
Yep.
That's crazy. So yeah, I mean, you've done your own. You've headlined shows. You've done the. What made you get into comedy?
I wasn't like one of these people that's like as a kid where I'm like I want to be a comedian. I like watched. I didn't really watch a ton of stand up. Like I remember, I think in high school. In high school when like I feel like Netflix was being really popular. Like it was already out, but like everybody had it on their laptop, on their phone. People were binge watching shows, and you'd log on to Netflix and you'd see like Kevin Hart or somebody would come with this comedy special. I would watch those, but I wasn't like a comedy fan. Like I didn't just like watch a shit ton
Right.
of stand up. I don't know. I always was funny in my friend group, but I didn't really notice it until like senior year of high school. Where I was like I felt like I don't know, when I got together with my friends. Before that, I was like, everybody makes jokes, but when Jerry Seinfeld said this, when you're a kid, everybody's funny. Like your whole friend group's funny.
Yeah, of course,
everybody's making
yeah.
jokes,
I
whatever.
realize that for sure.
It's
yeah.
goofy, yeah. But I like senior year of high school, I started to come out of my shell a lot more. Like I was pretty secluded or whatever. I was kind of like a loner a little bit. I had a lot of friends, but I just didn't like my personality I wasn't super outgoing or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't outgoing.
Senior year, I don't know what happened. Like senior high school, I was like 17, 18. I started to start saying what I thought. Like I would just say, I was like, I'm just going to make observations or whatever. And some people, I started getting reactions out of people. Some of them thought it was funny. Some of them were like, what the fuck? What's he just say? I remember.
This guy's a dick.
I remember. And I don't know. It's hard. You don't know how you get your sense of humor. It's just the things you watch and whatever the
100%,
people you're
yeah.
around. But
Right,
I
it's
remember
nurturing
the
and
first
a
year,
bunch of things.
the first day of senior year. Actually, I remember it, and it's weird. This is like one of my only memories of like saying something in a class and getting a big reaction. But I worked in the school store at Shawnee Mission West, like right here.
Well, like the commissary or buy snacks and stuff.
Oh,
Like-
so we would make like shirts for the basketball games, like the spirit wear type.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we would make like, if the theme for the basketball game was white out, we'd make like a white Shawnee Mission West basketball T-shirt or whatever and sell it. Right. It was like the merch store, and it's the first day of the year, so we're having like the planning session. We're like, okay, this is all the equipment we need for the year and whatever, because it's like it's a part of the business classes of the school, so it's like kind of combining like business with like the more creative side of just making fun stuff, right? So the business teacher's like, okay, what do we need? What do we need? And we're going around like, what color shirts we need? And Shawnee Mission West colors are black and gold and white. So they go, oh, we should get some black T-shirts and gold T-shirts. And then one guy in the back, this is 2018, by the way.
Okay.
Or 2017, like August. And he goes, we should get all white. We should get white shirts. And I was like, man, this isn't Charlottesville. I literally said in the back, I was like, what do you think this is, Charlottesville? Because the thing had just happened with all of like the dudes with the tiki torches.
I know what you're talking about.
The dudes with the tiki torches. I was like, what do you think this is, Charlottesville? I literally just said that, and everybody was like, it was like the record scratch, like, like looked at me, and I was like, oh. They don't think that's funny. I remember thinking, I was like, man, I thought that was hilarious in my head. And like that was my first time. I remember.
That's terrible.
I remember saying that and being like, oh, other people don't think like that. like I was like, what I'm thinking is not what's going through everybody else's head when they just hear shit.
He said, this is not what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That this is gonna be.
Yeah, and throughout that year, I would hang out with my friends and I would just get a little bit more animated. I noticed when I was hanging out with my friends, sometimes we'd be hanging out, and then sometimes it was like I felt like we were getting together, and it was like, let's hear Curtis talk, like rant. Like I would kind of hold court between the group, and then kind of like working a crowd. I didn't know it at the time, but like kind of like how I'd work a crowd now, just kind of going around. Somebody's telling a story, I'm making fun of the story. I'm going, that's bullshit, whatever. Doing
Of course, yeah.
normal shit.
Sure.
But I feel like I was the one, like I said, like holding court over the whole thing, and when I would tell a story or whatever, like people would be like intrigued and listen. So, I started watching a lot more stand up like my freshman year of college. Just I think through YouTube, and this was like right before the pandemic. I watched a ton during the pandemic too. Like I just found it on YouTube and I just became obsessed with it. I just started watching a ton of it because I was like, oh, this is amazing. I didn't necessarily think that I like wanted to do it, but when you see somebody do something, you're like, I could be kind of good at it, I think.
Yeah,
like,
sure,
I don't know. I still didn't think like, oh, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. I was just like, oh, I might try that. I think I'd be good at that. And I started listening to it kind of like, and not just listening to stand-up, but listening to people talk about what being a stand-up is like kind of more behind the scenes, like the game of it.
That would be important, yeah.
The game of it, like, I've always, with everything I've liked throughout my whole life, I've always been kind of a nerd about things. Like, I don't want to know like the service level. I want to know everything, like the whole iceberg. I want to get to the bottom. Like I want to know the process and everything. That's how I've been with everything. So I started doing that comedy. And I was like, oh, this just sounds awesome. Like their lives are objectively really cool. And then I wanted to do it. And so through researching and all this stuff, I figured out that the way to start doing is you have to go to these things called open mics, which are basically just you go to a place, they have a sign up sheet. You put your name on the list. Everybody that signs up gets to go up, and they get to do whatever their time, whatever their certain amount of time is, and it's basically like amateur night or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's not open mics are not curated, so anybody who signs up can go up. And the way they talked about it, that's how you got started. And then when I was like looking them up, and also one of the things you learn about saying, which is so much true, is that like the only way to get better is by doing it. Like
that part.
You can be. I can sit in my room for a year and write what I think is the funniest set of jokes ever. If I have not been on stage to practice them and like actually do it, it's gonna be shit. Like it's the only way to get better at doing it is by doing it as much as possible at every opportunity to get on stage. It's just the only way. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's like,
repetition.
It's repetition. Yeah, you can't like theorize it. You can't like pre-plan it. You just got to do it.
100%,
So when I looked it up, and it takes so long to get good at it that it's kind of like I've heard stories of people that are like, oh, I'm from a small town. They only had one open mic a month. Like I can only go on stage once a month for 5 minutes. You're never gonna get good doing that because there's just not enough things. So when I looked up open mics in Kansas City, only one came up on Google, which is at the Comedy Club on 103rd and State Line. So I was kind of discouraged. I was like, oh shit. Well, it doesn't seem like there's much of it like a community, or there isn't a scene here. Like I thought, I know about New York, I know about LA, and there's some places like Chicago and Austin, whatever.
Right, there's a big comedy.
There's that are, I would say, of like a lower tier, but still like you can do it. But I didn't know that Kansas City had a scene when I Googled, because only one thing came up, and then so that fast forward like a year. I'm writing some jokes, but like I don't know of any place to go up other than the Comedy Club, and I hadn't done it yet because I was like, and I'm also one of those people. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it all in. I'm not gonna like half-ass in.
That's
like,
good.
Oh, I'm a little
That's
hobby.
good.
So I hadn't done it, and funny, a friend of mine from high school, he's a year older than me, so he wasn't in that class when I made that comment. But
Thank God.
One of my friends I've had since literally since I was like kindergarten. Like I've known this guy my whole life basically. He had posted that he was doing a show. a stand up show, and he was on the show, and I was like, I messaged him instantly. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, does Kansas City have a scene? Are there shows? Like, are there independent shows? And he was like, oh yeah, you got to join this Facebook group. And it was called Kansas City Comedians Facebook group. It's still there. It's still active, and it's like it's not invite only. You just have to ask. It's not a public group. It's a private group. But if you ask to be invited, you'll be invited. And then once you log on there, it's like, oh, we got open mics every single day. Here's where they're at. Here are the times. Everything. And I was like, oh shit, okay.
Right.
There's
Helping-
like a ton of people
helping each
doing
other,
this.
right.
There's a ton of people doing this, and it's just like anything. You don't know. This lady came in our store the other day and was looking for curling shoes. I'm like, who the fuck curls? But I'm sure there's probably fucking
Curling like bowling?
There's like the little ice pucks thing, like the Winter Olympics. You know what I'm talking about?
There's no pool.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The
Yeah.
one where they got the guy.
Yeah. The little broom. Yeah, no, she was looking for curling shoes. I'm like, who fuck curls? But I guess there's a community. Like, there's things out there. Obviously, comedy's a little bigger than that because it's like an art form or whatever. But once I found out there was people doing it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna sign up. And then I went to my first one. I hit him up and I was like, where do you normally go? Like whatever, because
Right.
he's like a good friend of mine. I just had no idea he was doing stand up. Because most people, there's two types of comedians. One, the type of people that tell everybody instantly. Sure. Those are like the posers, right? Those are like the people.
What do you mean? Tell everybody instantly.
Like the first time you go on stage, the first time you sign up, you have comedian in the bio. You're telling everybody, hey, I'm a comedian. I do stand up, whatever.
As opposed to the sleeper where you just go up on stage like, hey,
how you doing,
I was a
everybody? Sleeper. I was like, I don't want anybody to know I do this until I'm good at this. I was like, I would be terrified to have somebody that I know come to a show and I like eat a bag of dicks. Then you have like the other. Oh, it's true, and I've done it. Oh my god, the times I've been mortified when I. Also, some shows you do, they're of different levels, right? So I'll show up, and I'm like, okay, this is like. So they asked me to do the show. I'm not going to say no. I'll say yes to anything.
Sure.
I'll go up and perform. But in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be, it is what it is. And then all of a sudden, somebody walks in, like somebody I know. I'm like, oh, fuck. God damn, I got to turn it on.
Son
bro.
of a gun.
I'm like,
Right, now I
shit,
gotta actually push the go button.
I mean, I'm not going to bullshit. I try every single time I'm up there. But it's different when you're like, okay, I got to try and impress the people that know who I am before stand-up, right?
It's like when I went to his first show. Like he avoided me at all costs throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't say something because if I look at Brett or he starts laughing, he'll fuck me.
Right, then
Well, when I first started, it is when I first started. Like if I saw somebody in the crowd that I knew, it'd be distracting. Right. Now I could look at you fine. It'd probably throw me off. I'm like, God damn, guy's ugly. But I would move on. It wouldn't bother me too much.
Like, which chick is he with today? No.
So I signed up for my first. After my friend told me he was doing stand-up and he told me where he went. I went there with him one time to watch. Also, if you're watching this, you want to do stand-up, my number one tip, go to an open mic and watch it. It'll make you want to sign up. You want to know why? Because everybody fucking sucks ass. So you'll go there. If you think you're funny and you want to do stand-up, go to an open mic. You'll sit in the audience and you'll go, oh, I can do it. If this is what is happening, then I am way better than them. And you sign up and you realize you're not. Everybody sucks. You suck too. But it does motivate you because you go to the first time and you're like, wow, nobody's really good at this. This is like this.
Right, that guy is right.
You're like I might not be good, but I can be better than that. That guy's up there just like.
So it gives you a bar. It gives you a bar. It gives you a bar. Hey, I know I.
Also, very motivating. Very motivating. If you see like 20 people go up and 18 of them suck and 2 of them are pretty good, you're like, oh shit, like I can be better than the other 18.
And they've all most of them are practiced and written their stuff and
practiced.
Scripted.
Yeah, and some people come and go, but a lot of people that you'll see, if you go to an open mic, the one I'm going to right after this, of the list of like 40 people, 35 of them have been doing it very consistently for at least probably 6 months.
So do you like it? So you end up liking the open mic type format where you just kind of don't know.
Well, I think you go through waves, like everything. It's hard not to get jaded a little bit because like when you first started, oh my god, it was like the summer of love. Like I was going around every night, no matter what. I was still in college at the time too, so my grades are downward graph. I was not caring about class
Because you're going to clubs in the evening.
Exactly, I was going to clubs. I would literally, and this is when I went to KU, so I would drive 40 minutes to KC. To go do a show or like do a mic or whatever, get done at like 10:30, drive 40 minutes back, and that's if it ends at that time, or whatever. Like sometimes they're later, sometimes they're earlier, whatever. Yeah, and just doing that like since the day I started, I've probably been going. There's outliers of weeks I go like maybe once, but pretty consistent like 3 to 4 times a week for 3 years. And
Dang.
that's just open mics, not including like shows on the weekends that I've obviously after a while.
That's
get booked
that's a
more and more.
lot of FaceTime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but he sat there and said though, if
to
he's
what-
gonna do it, he's gonna do it. He's
Right.
not gonna just be like half-time, part-time job shit. No.
Also, it's like the second. Oh my god, the jubilation when like also when you first start, you suck, right? So nobody's for the most part nobody's good. It takes a decent amount of like I said, eating a bag of dicks to get to a point where you seem like you have a joke or you seem personable. Right. Some people have it. Like me and my friends joke that like black guys have this instant. They're already on level 3 the second they start. Not only because like black people are just generally funnier, but they're just so charismatic and like natural performers. I don't know what it is about them or culturally or whatever.
Like Royal would say, "I got something to say.
Exactly.
I need to get up on stage."
Also, they're just not intimidated by the idea of like a ton of old white people sitting in an audience. I don't know. It just for some reason they're just. It's easier for them to start. Don't shoot the messenger. That's just this is what I've observed.
It is what it is.
It's just what I've observed. But like, where am I going with this? But basically, you start out. It takes a while. But like when you get your first room laugh, when you've never imagine this, you've been going up. For me, it was like maybe a month. Like you're going up like 4 times a week for a month. Just getting literally 0 laughs. Like everybody just staring at you. You can hear the feedback in the speaker, like,
So
like
now
it's silence, and you get your first laugh. You're like, oh, it's like a drug. You're like, oh, I want to do that.
Oh, 100%.
Now,
I want to do that.
Are you switching up? Is it because the material's different, the way you deliver it's different?
Yeah. So also, it's
I mean,
like,
is
you
that
don't know
what you
joke
do every
structure.
time, or do you try the same?
Oh, open mics. Yeah, you're trying new stuff all the time. I mean,
Okay.
if you're good, there's some people
That hone their
Not gonna
set
name
at the
names.
same
Yeah. So
set. So you're like, I've seen this set 3 times get either the same or
oh yeah, I
a
mean,
little bit better
It
each
depends.
time?
It depends. There's some people that are really prolific. They write a ton every
Mhm.
time. Every week they're coming with new stuff. There's some people that literally I've been doing comedy with them for 2 years. I've seen them for 2 years and have not done a different joke the whole time. And they can go up and get mixed reactions every time. And it never occurs to them to maybe change something. It's also I'm not talking shit. It's a hard thing to do. But some people are just more motivated to write new stuff than they are to do. Like with how much I go on stage, I get bored of my stuff. Like even if it works. I have stuff that's I haven't said in like a year. I could say it tonight. It's gonna work, but I'm trying to find the new thing. Also, the more you write, the better you get, right? So, the best joke I've ever written is the next joke I'm going to write, right? Like it's not.
Huh. Wow.
Well, the more you write, the better you get, right? So it's like I have a joke right now about shitting my pants at a Quick Trip. It's my opener. I basically do it the first time. Yeah,
That's a good one.
It sounds weird out of context, but if you go to a show, you probably like it. Like that joke, that might be like a year and a half old. I still use it to open my set. It's a consistent starter for me. I can start the set without a hitch, and it has a high hit rate for me. Like I rarely ever tell, even if the crowd is bad, I can start off with like at least like probably 95% of that working. But I can tell tonight, even if it gets a whole room laugh, it's like I'm bored of it. I say it because it works, and I thought it was funny when I first wrote it down. But the more you say something, the less funny it gets to you, at least for sure.
Yeah, so it's like a band having a single that they've.
It's like
all everybody wants to hear. Play Freebird, or something like that.
Well, yeah, it's like a hit song that's out. Like nobody's listening to Tweaker anymore. Like Tweaker was like 2 weeks ago, and especially with how fast the internet is, like you're like, oh man, that joke was fucking hilarious, and it's like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but
I think that's why Kevin Hart kind of goes in and out for me, because I don't really think he's that funny. But everyone's like, he's funny. I'm like, I've seen it, I've done it. Like,
right.
I don't really think he's that funny. But
well, not even like you saying the same thing, but you'll hear somebody else say a joke, and you're like, when you watch as much comedy, I didn't realize how autistic I was about comedy. By the way, like I know I watched a lot of it, and then my dad would have like comedy on the radio or something, like because they have like Sirius XM or whatever. So the comedy station would be on. I don't even have to look. I go, yeah, that's John L. Rawlings, whatever. And I was just like, oh my god, I didn't realize I could do that. But you'll hear something and you'll be like, that's funny, but it's a lot like what this guy said,
Right.
and I already heard it before. So I mean, hard to be original, obviously. There's no original thought. Everything's been said before. You got to put your own spin on it, your own personality on it. But I don't know. You get tired of your own stuff. So that's the point of an open mic, is to try new stuff. Like I can do the set tonight that I did when you came to the show, but it's like, unless I'm changing something in it, it's like, am I getting work done? Like, am I just rubbing my ego, or am I trying to like improve? because that's what that is. That the open mic's like the gym, basically. Like
Right, where you're working on your cadence.
You're working on your cadence,
right,
whatever.
the way you present yourself.
Yeah, but it's like if I don't change anything and I just do the same stuff I've been doing, then it's like, what's the point of it? Like I said,
yeah, it's like going to karaoke at that point.
yeah. Yeah, it's like I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah, but you're singing your own songs. You're just yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot of the comedian stuff relates to somewhat music as well, because like you're controlling a crowd. So it's like if you say the wrong joke, you say the wrong. You literally have the control of the crowd. So if you literally sit there and you try to go back and forth with some of the jokes you have, or that you've known for months, years, whatever the case may be, like that might not hit. You know, or like me or you might go to a show and be like, man, that shit Curtis said the other day was funny. Let's go to another show, and then you might have that same as like in there where you're like, Curtis is funny as fuck, but I've heard this before.
Yeah.
So he has to keep it fresh, right?
Also, when you go to an open mic, sorry to cut you off, but also when you go to an open mic, like I said, tonight, the one I'm about to go to tonight, it's probably the list's probably gonna be around like 45 to 50 people in terms of like comedians going on stage, and
how many people that are not comedians will be
at the most. I don't know. It ranges depending how good the ones are. If it's a bad mic, like if it's one that doesn't have a good reputation, there's like literally 1 or 2, 3, 4, whatever. Very few people go. This one's actually really good. This one, you can have up to 25 people, but you're rarely going to get more than 40 people at an open mic that are not comedians. So also, it's like...
So you're being critiqued as well.
You're being critiqued, but also it's like you're trying to make your friends laugh. They've seen everything. They're with you every night. Yeah, right. So you got to do new stuff for that reason too, because... majority of the crowd has heard everything you've ever said, at least on stage. I mean, like
right? Because you're part of the comedy.
They're they're the comics, whatever. Yeah, so it's like you're trying to make them laugh too. Now, there's obviously it's like you can try to play to inside jokes, whatever, and like try to make your friends laugh. That's what we say. It's like, oh, he's clearly trying to make his friends laugh. That wasn't for the people that came to see. They were trying to make the people in the back laugh, and I'm sure that happens at shows too, or whatever. It's
yeah, it does. Yeah,
but it's hard not to do that because you want a reaction. Silence is uncomfortable on a comedy show.
Sure,
you're up there. You feel the silence
is golden, but it breaks.
No, bro, you feel that silence when you're standing up there and like you haven't said something funny in the last 15 seconds, and you just feel like they're all just watching it. They're just watching you. Yeah, I mean,
that silence is tension though.
It's a little but it's only tension when you know you have something coming. Like if I've got a punchline on the way, like I don't mind if there's silence in a portion of my joke where I'm like, okay, I'm setting up a little bit. Right. Like it's going to sound weird. I have a joke about Christopher Columbus right now. I have a part where I'm kind of explaining some of it, and I know there's going to be silence there, but that's because I think I'm going to say something funny. But if you got nothing up there and they're seeing us looking at you, that silence is what's uncomfortable because you're like,
so then you're setting it up then.
You're like, yeah.
See, that's the same thing. Like kind of like what we said with the last episode with DJing. It's like you got to set the people up for what's next.
What's coming. Right, it's
you
leading. You're taking them on a path, on a journey, and then all of a sudden it's like, this is yeah,
that's dope as fuck. That's kind of cool.
It's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, because I'm like always big into music, but then like actually like it's crazy like how much music and then DJ and then now like with the comedian stuff that we've been doing with the podcast, I'm like this shit literally all connects. Like it's crazy like how many people control crowds and whatnot, and like one bad song, one bad joke, one bad DJ mix, it's all
or one really good joke, one really good song
can uplift somebody like and you're like, oh man, that shit was funny. I'm gonna do and then you have your supporters.
Yeah, you can take cues from a lot of it, and you can tell because people come from different backgrounds in comedy. A lot of people that are in comedy have done some other type of performing, whatever, and you can see it in the way that they interact with the stage or just the way they are up there. Some people are a lot more comfortable. There's like a running joke that like it's funny. You'll go to an open mic, like of the 30 people you're with, everybody seems actually like pretty normal, like. There's a range of people, whatever. Some people look like me and you, whatever. Some people that you can tell did certain things, whatever. But like, there's a joke that like everybody is secretly a theater kid. Like if you look,
wants to sing and dance.
You look at
like exactly. a thespian.
Or did theater at some point. It's a weird thing. I never did theater, so it doesn't apply to me.
I didn't either.
Me neither.
Pause. But you'll see somebody and they'll look just like Frost, and you go up there and you're like, you get to work like. Talking to him, they're like, "Oh, this is a theater kid." I don't know why.
He can sing like Freddie Mercury, but he looks like Frost.
You see how people, different people come to it. Sure. Like some, it just depends. And it's funny too because you'll see a lot of people that are like come from a different art form, whether it be like music or whatever. Some of them. I'm not gonna name names or call anybody because I'm not even thinking of anybody specific. I just know of trends of seeing people, but some people like seem entitled to an audience reaction. In comedy, you got to earn it. I'm not saying in music you don't, but like there is a little thing like you go on stage, everybody claps. Okay,
right.
whatever.
Thank you for
you
playing.
do your song.
Right.
Yeah,
you tried.
Exactly. If you've gone to like not a music open mic, but you go to a concert, no matter how shit the song is, they get done. They're like, okay, thank you. Everyone's like, okay, thank you. Thanks you for performing.
Right.
If you're not funny, nobody gives you shit. They're like, okay,
silent again.
Walk off the stage and that's it.
On to the next. I mean, there's a host that kind of tries to get it out of people. They're like, hey, give it up for the last guy. But it's so funny because I've had to host. I mean, that's part of the process of like learning. You got to learn how to host, which sucks, but something you got to do. That's just like hosting. You're just the lowest man on the totem pole, so you got to start somewhere. Right. I'm sure whatever that is for any job, you got to start doing the dirty work. Hosting is like the dirty work. So you got to, after they get done with their set, you got to go back on stage and be like, oh yeah, give it up for that last guy, and you'll be going like this, and then they'll just be like, no, I'm not giving it up for him. Nothing he said was funny.
You're trying to pull some interaction.
Yeah. Also, because you want to keep the show going. There's somebody else that's going to come up. You're trying to give energy so that they have a little bit of a boost.
Momentum, right.
Yeah.
You want to keep the flow.
Yeah,
I get it.
But it's funny because like you'll see some performers that like I said come from music or come from other things, and they're like, oh, part of me being up here, like people are already wanting to hear, like they're kind of proud of me in a sense. Or I'm not phrasing this correctly, but the fact that they're even up there to begin with warrants like, okay, let's go. And it's like, they quickly realize that is not.
Yeah, it's completely different.
At least at an open mic, it is not that way. You gotta kind of earn it a little bit. It's kind of like prove something, You gotta go up and prove it a little bit.
I get it. Okay, so you spoke on that it's easy for like you're riding in the car listening to the radio, and you just you can recall comedians by their voice. So who's been most influential on your set? Like who's your Mount Rushmore?
Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
If people out here, listeners, that watch a lot of comedy, don't know who these people are. I don't know if they're like all of them are necessarily household names.
My brother's big into comedy, so I know some.
Louis C.K. comedy a comedy North Star was
he's got a name.
So many albums. I mean, talk about prolific. He was the first person to come out with like the album a year mentality. There were some people. I mean, there are comedians that we consider like to be great that did the same set. They toured with the same set around the nation for like 10 years, just telling the same jokes. He was like one of the first people to be like.
Was that the Redneck Comedy Tour?
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, but everybody did it before Louis C.K. It was kind of in a like acknowledged thing. Once you have something that works that makes you money, go around cash cow. Play your hits. It's almost more like music that way, where it's like play the greatest hits.
Who did that? There was 3 comedians that did that too.
Talking about like just going around. Doing
Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
And John Flaherty or whatever. If I was a redneck or something.
Yeah, but they've even older comics like that, they've released more albums, but it's because of Louis C.K. He did one. He was the first one to be like, after this year, all the stuff's gone. He's like,
all fresh.
As soon as
that's good. Then.
As soon as you record it, so after the special's out, after it's on Netflix or whatever, for him it was his website. He was also the first person to do that. People talk about like musicians hating Ticketmaster. He was like one of the first people to say fuck Ticketmaster and do everything independently and own his own like venues and stuff.
Ticketmaster's a big dog.
He capped the ticket price of his own shows because he
said fuck Ticketmaster.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's a big move to do.
He talked about it because he was like he could only, and it sucks because Ticketmaster owns the rights to some venues.
They do. That's what I'm saying.
So that's a big move. Would play the venues that he would say like he would cap the ticket price. He would release his specials independently on his own website, have an emailing list, whatever, not through the networks, whatever. Anyway, very influential guy for like the game wise, but also just incredibly funny. So many specials. So Louis C.K. won. John Mulaney is a guy. He's all of his stuff is on, or he's got one Comedy Central special, I believe, but most everything's on Netflix. Just gets better every single time. Like most comedians, when you watch them, if they have multiple specials out, their best one is the first one. It's kind of like we said, when you're first starting, you're trying to hone your stuff. So the first special generally is like 10 years worth of work, like 10 years worth of like crafting the same jokes, and then it's like 2 years because once you pop, your agent is like, let's capitalize, let's get some shit out there. We can tour whatever. So you put less time into your next stuff than you did your first one. Is a lot of people's like their magnum opus or whatever. Like they put all their blood, sweat, and tears, and also their perspective for their first special is when they hadn't made it yet. So they're really trying to like really trying to make it. But John Mulaney's gotten better every single time. Joe List is somebody who he was just in town last weekend.
Joe List, you said?
Joe List. My favorite. He's like my favorite comic that's like in his prime, like currently working, like putting out stuff every year. He's got 3 specials on YouTube. All of them are some of my favorites. He's like a lesser known guy, but I'd say lesser known. If you know comedy, you know who he is. But he's not like a household name. He's not like at the Oscars or whatever the fuck. If that's something that you want to do. And then Louis C.K., Norm Macdonald for sure.
Norm
Macdonald. He's my favorite. He's my favorite, but
he's a little old for you.
He's older. He was actually, when I say I was like getting into stand up, like before I even did stand up, he was the first person I binge watched on YouTube. Like if you know
he's
YouTube,
good.
If you know the YouTube channel, I'm Not Norm. It has like every appearance he's ever done. I've seen every single video on that channel. Like I know, I can't like recall, but I've seen like every TV show appearance he's been on. Like I've binge watched all of his stuff. He was what kind of like started comedy for me. And it's weird because most people don't. He is a stand up comedian, but most people recognize him from like his appearances on shows.
Yeah, just watching a show where he's a blob. He's this gooey blob.
Yeah,
thing.
he's on.
Norm
He
Macdonald.
was, he was Weekend Update on SNL. So he's like a comedic, whatever Mount Rushmore for me. Like I love Norm, and he's so unique too. Like the things he says, it's like it would not be funny
and
if
his
anybody else said
too.
it. Yeah, it would not be funny if anybody else said it. The way he said it in the moment, that's what makes it funny. He's just such a character. He's such a character, but he's just not like he doesn't have. I think he's got like 3 specials, 3 or 4 maybe in total. So he's not a guy that's pumping out a lot of actual like stand up man on stage. But he, in terms of like just being funny, like he's one of the funniest people.
As hell.
Yeah, so
I give it up for
that would be my 4 if I had to pick. And I know it's not the most diverse lineup, but I like other types of comic too. Like, wow, 4 white guys. Well, a lot of comedy is a lot of white guys on stage talking to a microphone.
A lot of white guys on stage.
No, I mean, I have Richard Pryor posters in my room. I love Bernie Mac. I love.
That's
Richard
cool.
Pryor and all the Bernie Mac.
It's all good.
Yeah, they're really good too.
It's just funny.
So, that's interesting, Norm.
He was the first person that got me before I even like I said, before I even wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Like I had the thought of it, but he was was kind of like an open door. Like once I binge watched his stuff, then I started getting into stand-up and watching all these specials and documentaries.
Because I'm kind of thinking back to your set and like kind of I could see that how that influenced you.
If you watch Joe List's stuff, I don't think I sound too much like any of the people I listed a little bit. Like I have lines in jokes that I know in my head. I'm like, oh, that's kind of like an ode to that guy, like the way he would say it,
like a presentation.
Yeah. But to like, it's hard to pick out like individual lines and be like, huh, you kind of sound like him. But Joe List would probably be the person I sound the most like if I had to pick out of all of those. But definitely influential. Also, comedy, it's like funny is funny. So even if I didn't. Like, even if I don't sound like that person, they've definitely been influential on me, even if you can't hear it through the things I say.
Sure.
For sure. Like, those are the people I've watched the most. Like, I used to, and it's funny, I write a lot, but I'm not like, I don't steal anything, obviously, but I don't know how it is with, like, other creative things, but when I used to write, I still write, but my routine for writing used to be I would listen to, like, a full album. Like, I'd listen to an hour of stand-up while going for a walk. And then I would sit down and write. And I wouldn't write anything like the same ideas, but just getting my like juices flowing. And those would be the 4 people I would just like religiously like listen to before I was like really wanted to work on something. Yeah, I used to bring like a notepad when I would go watch people at the club, because the benefit of being a comedian is you get just to see a ton of comedy for free.
You get a bunch of ideas.
Yeah, you get to see a ton of comedy for free because they don't make you. If you're a comedian, you don't pay to get into shows. You just show up. So.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a perk. It's a perk for sure.
I love free shit.
Yeah, it's a perk for sure. But even people you've never heard of, you just go to the comedy club and watch a live show. Also, comedy's 20 times better live. I don't even know. It's not even close to video. Video can be like very funny, but being in there, there's nothing like being in a crowd and watching.
Right, the energy, it's all different.
Yeah, but I used to sit in the back of the room and just have a notepad, and just being in the room with like people laughing, whatever. It would like a comedian on stage could be like telling a joke about his like wife and kids. I'd be like, oh fuck. While he's saying that, I'm like, I have a story about like a fucking cucumber. So I don't know. It was just random, like no, completely not even related to what he was saying. It just gets my like creative mind flowing. So, hello. But yeah, so those would be the 4 people I'd watch. Like, so I mean, I watch so much stand up now, less like newer people. I like to, if I'm studying it, I like to watch people that I'm like I know are great at it.
Right.
Like it's a little easier to identify older people that I really like, but I'm not. I watch some new stuff too.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. So that being said, we got the Mount Rushmore. So you're in contact with a bunch of these comedians in Kansas City.
Mhm.
Who do you
He's got even a bigger reach too.
Well, I've met some people. Yeah, there's things like festivals and stuff where you meet a lot of people from out of town, but most of the people, yeah, I know are connected to Kansas City in some way, for sure.
Okay. So who? Yeah, because I'm trying to think who would you like to see on this couch,
That's.
and who can you help get on this couch?
Oh, I know everybody. I can.
That's what I'm
I can
saying.
help-
Like,
I
who,
can-
who,
I can help
who-
everybody. Mess
yeah,
with the
who-
show.
But just because you know
Yeah.
everybody does. That's what I'm saying. Like, who do you
Yeah.
really like that you think?
There's a guy named Steven Taylor. He's, I mean, in terms of Kansas City comedy, a very influential guy. Also, pretty unique story. He was like he was a school teacher, in like a school district around this area, and he got fired because he had a viral TikTok where he made a TikTok about how like he said when kids piss him off, he'll like crop dust them, like fart on their desk and shit, and like the clip went viral, and the school district found out about it and like fired him. And then he was when the whole that went big. They played his clip on the Breakfast Club. Like it was like a national.
shit.
It was like a national news story. He didn't actually go on there to talk for it, but like it was a national.
They're like, that's why all
It
those
was-
kids had pink eye.
It was a national. Yeah, exactly. It was a national news story. And he does like there used to be an independent comedy club in Kansas City called Barrel the Bottoms. Now it's more of like an organization that produces independent shows, but it used to be an independent comedy venue, and he was the one who started that with some owners in there too. Don't forget about them. They're very, very helpful. But he's kind of like, he started a lot of independent comedy in Kansas City, also runs the Fountain City Comedy Festival, which is a comedy festival that happens in Kansas City every year that gets
I've been
comics
there.
from all out.
Sure.
So yeah, he's a very influential, very powerful guy, but really cool guy. He has a cool story too with the teaching thing and like.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
From Louisiana, he would be a good guest to get. But yeah, he's a cool guy. I mean, I can't say bad things about really anybody in Kansas City. They've been very helpful to me.
That's cool.
Very nice
That's
to
what's
me.
up. It's a good community.
There's also a ton of podcasts too. So if like, yeah, I don't know how you guys would work that out, but there's a lot of people that are looking to promote their own stuff, and they have their shows of their own that obviously you guys can do whatever.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
We
Absolutely.
can talk about it. I'm down for that.
Yep, for sure. Well,
There
folks,
you go.
man
There
of
you
the
have
hour.
it.
Yep.
It's that easy. I just ramble.
Next episode, I'm gonna fix this goddamn mic. Like this shit goes down and up.
Yep.
Like
That's the
like-
I'm
littlest
gonna
I've heard
fix it.
Frost
I'm gonna
talk. And
See what I'm saying?
No,
Yeah,
just
well,
kidding. No, just kidding.
he's intrigued, but I was focused on this fucking mic. I was like, this shit went. I was like, all right, I'm tired of this shit. But there y'all have it, man. Second comedian on the podcast.
More on the way.
More on the way as you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
That was a lot of fun.
Yep. Well, there y'all have it, man. Until next time, I'm Snow. That's Danny Slab. This is Curtis Braxdale. Till next time.
This has been brought to you by Dialectic Media Recording. Check out our merch, slubboarts.com. Thank you. Love.
I'ma give 'em what they want. She gon' give me what I want. I'ma give 'em what they want.